Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another week of Kart Rider Drift League. My name is Will Cho, joined by State, and we are looking at our last Wednesday of Preseason 2.
Yeah, we're getting ready for the postseason, and today we have some important matches that will decide exactly what the brackets are going to look like when we finally get there.
Yes.
So specifically, match number 27 coming up later today. We have, some of our top teams right now deciding whether or not they're going to make it to the upper bracket finals. We also have some other teams that are competing to just get a little bit of a better placement, have a nice send-off before we go to the off-season for them because they are eliminated from the postseason. But a lot on the line. It should be a fun way to wrap up the regular season here before we get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are, of course, looking at our team matches. It is a Wednesday, so only team matches today. 8 teams have entered, and only 4 will be moving on to the postseason, the playoff system, so to speak. So those 4 teams are already decided. In fact, it is going to be KWANGDONGFREECS, Live Sandbox, Rocks Esports, and then Sensation actually edging their way in. However, the exact placements will be determined today out of those 4. Of course, the top 2 teams move on to the upper bracket finals right away. So they get that extra little bye in the bracket phase.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, looking at the standings overall, Live Sandbox, they are standing at first place for now, but Songnam Rocks, should they defeat the Freaks today with a good enough round differential, will be upseating them for that first place spot. But of course, the Freaks, should they be able to come away with a victory here over Rocks and overcome that +4 round differential that you see on the board right now, might find their way squeaking into rank number 2 with Rocks falling down to position 3. So a lot of eyes on that second team match of the day. Potential and Seraphic also battling things out to start things off today for that 6th ranked spot. Of course, the winner of that match, both teams being 1-5, will lock that in right below Aura.
Yeah, of course. And then, like you mentioned, last but not least, Aura versus Sensation. Now, unfortunately, Aura, they are no longer in contention for playoffs because Sensation is well ahead in terms of the set differentials. However, it will still be a battle to see if they, could they have still made it in, right? Or is this a case of, okay, we really have a lot more work to do going towards the regular season? Meanwhile, for Sensation, I think it matters even more so for them to just have that confidence going into that postseason playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. If they can ride some more momentum here with one more victory before the playoffs, they're going to be feeling happy because no matter what, they're going into the lower bracket. It's going to be a gauntlet for them to get to that grand finals in just a couple of weeks. So for Sensation, looking for a victory here, and for Aura, just trying to really prove that they have the mettle to come back here in KDL, the next season and show up for the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, these matches will matter, especially because, if you get into the top 2, if you get to the upper bracket finals, you get a little nice bye to move on in the playoffs, things like that. So, KWANGDONGFREECS versus Songnam Rocks in match 27, that will mostly determine how things work out. However, should KWANGDONGFREECS win, depending on the situation, there's even a chance that Sensation could try to make it into second place as well. So, a very slight. But we'll wait for that one. First up on stage, it is going to be Seraphic going up against Potential. As we mentioned, of course, neither team in contention for playoffs. However, a lot to prove for themselves. It's going to matter how you exit this preseason too, right? Get a higher ranking as a team, and maybe even show some mettle for your individual career to see if you can get onto another roster or, kind of by the eyes of some of those pro teams.
Yeah, for Potential and Seraphic, this one, it's going to matter a lot heading into that postseason, or not postseason, excuse me, the off-season for them, as they decide whether they want to retool, whether some of these players are going to try and get recruited by pro teams and join their rosters for the upcoming season of KDL, because both these teams have shown that individually their ceilings are high. There is a lot of potential on these teams. I'm not just saying that because that's the name of the team on the board right now. They are skilled. It's been a fierce competitive lobby here in KDL Preseason 2. And I wouldn't be surprised if these teams came up, a little bit retooled or rekitted for the upcoming season of KDL and had a much better showing than they did here in KDL Preseason 2.
Yeah.
Summer, especially despite his struggles in the ace matches to start off KDL Preseason 2, has really solidified himself as one of the best team match speed racers in the 4v4. He's topping the rankings right now. I think maybe top 4 even overall in terms of speed. So it's been a shining light for his team coming into the KDL Preseason 2, and they would love to go home with one more victory, secure that 6th ranked spot.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, right, again, it's more than just the team rankings that are going to matter here. and more so about also what can I show individually. I mean, you mentioned Summer on the other side. I mean, on this side as well, we have some familiar names that we continue to mention, you know, whether it's Scarlet, Snoopy, of course, as that item ace, and then the others as well, Mari, Promise, and Minsick. I mean, these two teams are, I think, those teams where, okay, we did see what their ceiling could be in the future, but it was just a little too soon for them to try to really gather that up on consistency.
That's a sweet message. Thank you for sincerely supporting Seraphic. We will repay your support in the final match.
Yeah, I mean,
it means
like
a lot to these teams to finish the season off on a win. That's touching. Usually we have a little bit of trash talk, but
well, I mean,
thanking the fans.
Yeah, I think also just, considering that both of you guys, both of the teams on stage today are in the same exact scenario, it's more so a shout out to the fans. And even for some of these amateur teams, just because maybe some of them have players who have been around for longer, or they really have the charm, they've gathered a lot of fans as well. So it's going to be very important to them to, again, continue that momentum moving forward in Kart Rider Drift. You mentioned Summer earlier. Yes, he had a rough start with the ace matches. Eventually got at least one win in the ace matches, but it's still only 1 out of 5. And that also goes to speak, in that they've had to go to the ace match 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, you get to that ace match, and then you're just one step away from getting to the postseason should you be able to tighten that part of your game up, right? We saw that for Rock Esports and KDL Preseason 1, where, pretty much every single victory, if I'm not mistaken, every victory for them in the regular season of Preseason 1 was just Zhong winning in the ace match. They got there consistently, usually by winning in speed, and then Zhong was able to deliver at home. I mean, should that have been the case here for Potential, and if Summer shows the same skill that he shows in team matches, in the ace matches, maybe they could have been contesting for rank 4 or rank 5 here, right on the cusp of heading to the playoffs. But we can talk about what ifs. As it is for these teams, they just want to finish on a high note here as we look at the speed track list overall potential with speed map priority. Picking 3 out of 5, we will be starting on Glacier Extreme Stadium, then moving on to Zigzag Timberland, World Tour New York Rally, Japan Circuit, and Brazil Circuit to round things out. And I like that we have 2 more difficult tracks here between Seraphic and Potential, because oftentimes the meta for these more rookie teams, especially against the pro teams or the established teams, has been to kind of try to simplify the speed tracks a little bit, go for the wider tracks, go for tracks where it's less likely they're going to get boxed out by good sweeping or good body blocking, and a little bit more ambitious here with the picks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, still, it might be difficult, but it's still going to be a fan favorite. Our round number 1 is going to be on Glacier Extreme Stadium between these two teams. And the race begins. Speed mode between Seraphic and Potential.
Yeah, off to a good start is Seraphic's Minshik and Promise as they're contesting with some of PO's best speed racers. You see Summer already working his way up into first place, so nice rebound there after Seraphic, seemed like they would have had some angles to body block them at the beginning.
Yeah, Summer's just holding a good position, just trying to make sure that he's able to maintain some of that boost gauge, so he's going to make a little bit of way for Minsick, but of course, everyone's still close enough that once we get to those hairpins, things could get pretty hairy. In fact, if you're this close, we could see some collisions even in that first lap.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and heading into the hairpins, would not be surprised to see Taman and Best try to take some really tight inner lines to join Summer here in the upper ranks. As first turn comes in, Summer is able to close the distance a little bit on Scarlet here. Getting closer and closer, but really it is a 1v2 between Summer and Seraphic's lead racers, Minshik and Scarlet, as we finish lap number 1.
Yeah, for the time being, of course, 2 lappers, so no need to take too many big risks. Best did have a nice little block earlier against Promise, so still able to kind of keep the 3, 4, 5. I say that, and we're starting to see a little bit more aggression coming out from Potential. They want to start to inch forward, because that way, if they're set up for like the 2, 3, 4, they have more options in the last hairpins, as we see a couple bumps against the wall there.
Oh, absolutely, and the collisions have been coming in frequently here in lap number 2 as PO tries to solidify their position in the upper ranks, but really it's just Best and Summer here in positions 2 and 3, which means that one of these racers is going to need to upseat Scarlet from position 1 should PO try to win, with Taman and Wave all the way down in the back ranks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Wave is pretty much locked in for 8th. Taman slowly trying to make his way up, but even 5th seems like it's going to be difficult for the time being. Summer is holding strong onto number 1, though, and not huge a boost gauge difference between Summer and Scarlet. Summer making sure that he can block out Scarlet. He's trying to get another block, but no, he loses a bit too much speed. Scarlet will regain first place, and that's going to be the first track going over to Seraphic.
Yeah, Summer navigated the hairpin turns very well there and was even able to take the lead over Scarlet heading into the final jump turn, but Scarlet just handled that one line a little bit better, had some more momentum heading into the finish line, and securing first place with a strong mid-range field like Seraphic had in that one. I mean, 1-3-5-7, that's a win.
Yeah, and this is kind of actually similar to what we saw, you know, in the last ace match that Sensations Hojin had against the Guangdong Freaks Sungbin, where, you know, you kind of start to get blocked out in that last jump, and then you just say, okay, well, I'll take the wider turn, but make sure that I'm losing less speed, use that last boost to catch back up. That way I get that last bit of acceleration. Meanwhile, of course, we saw Summer trying to just make sure he keeps, like, the most ideal, but he didn't have that extra boost, so he loses a bit extra speed, gets overtaken, and the first round goes to Seraphic.
And Seraphic is off to a good start here in speed mode. It's been, you know, a tough go for them in speed overall so far here in KDL Preseason 2. Is, you know, in their previous match, they won their first ever speed track, but, you know, not only did they win there, now they're beating Potential here.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it in the replay right there at the end as well. Kind of Summer just making that call to think that he's going to try to block against his opponents, but Scarlet just cruises on by. Well, we move right on to round 2. This is going to be going over to Seraphic's pick. It will be for Zigzag Timberland.
And off we go in the shaded forest of Zigzag Timberland with Seraphic leading 1-0 here in speed, but Best Entertainment off to a great jump start.
Yeah, we'll see if they'll be able to keep that. Seraphic seem to want to go for some aggressive cuts to maintain their boost gauge, but everyone on fairly even footing as we get around the first large curve. Now slowly heading towards the second half of the track.
Yeah, but again, for Seraphic, a little bit concerning here that they have Promise and Mari all the way in the back ranks. You know, in lap number 1, or track number 1, excuse me, they were able to hold on to 1-3-5-7, but should they keep Mari and Promise all the way there in the back ranks, it's really going to be on to Minshik to hold on to this number 1 spot. So Scarlet trying to come in here with some sweeping on Best, but Best undisturbed.
Yeah, I mean, two kind of separate battles right now, right? We already see it on the minimap, a bit of distance between the top 4, maybe even top 5, and then the latter 3. Of course, a series of hairpins once again in track 2 here of Zigzag Timberland. So everyone will be able to catch up a decent amount, but it's more about that boost management as you come out onto the straightaway to see if you can try to break apart from the pack.
And see Scarlet doing their best to try and pass Wave here, as Wave just at every turn seems to be body blocking Scarlet's chances of joining their teammate Minshik into upper ranks, as Best holding on to that first place spot, does trade it out with Minshik as they're going toe-to-toe here on this straightaway.
Oh, and a nice boost off of the jump for Taemin, is able to catch up to his teammate Wave and Scarlet as well, provide a little bit more backup. It does look like Minshik is starting to run away a little bit in first place, but so a lot more contention here for 2, 3, and 4, and gets bumped into the wall here on the side of Potential. But meanwhile, Scarlet also getting ping-ponged back and forth a bit off of that collision as well.
Yeah, first collision Scarlet went for looked like a really well-calculated body block to just try and sweep some of the PO players, and it went well, but the follow-up collision with the wall after that, losing a lot of momentum, and now Minshik for Seraphic stands alone here in position number 1. It's going to be critical that Minshik holds onto that rank, but it's a 1v2 in the top ranks. You know, Seraphic, Minshik, I don't know if they're going to be able to hold on against Best Entertainment, but finally Promise and Scarlet closing the distance here.
Yeah, and right now it's back in the court of Potential. They're going to have to break into that first place if they want a solid chance, because right now it's really just a hairpin difference for 4, 5, and 6th place. I mean, those could switch at any point. Best is still a little ways behind first place.
Yeah, and I think Scarlet just thrown in the towel right there. They identify that Seraphic's, you know, lagging runners a little bit too far behind the rest of the pack, and despite Minshik getting first place there for Seraphic, Potential with a 2, 3, 4, 5, a solid midfield will tie things up 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, of course, what we saw there, like you said, was kind of a Hail Mary, right? Just go for a donut, see if you can collide with everyone else, see if something can happen where you're able to even out the scores, but alas, it doesn't happen, and that just makes way for the 2, 3, 4, 5 that you mentioned, State, and a pretty clean win here for Potential in track 2.
Yeah, Minshik did a great job of, you know, running there pretty much through all of lap number 1, lap number 2, was in contention and then finished in first place, which was surprising considering the lack of backup they really had from the remaining racers there on Seraphic, but that really did come back to bite them as PO just kind of consolidated right there behind Minshik, able to hold on to all of the mid ranks and secure the points win that way.
Yeah, well, track 3, it's going to be a single lapper and not many hairpins throughout this track, so it's more about keeping that lead as we go to World Tour New York Rally. And the race begins on the streets of New York's Hyde. 1-1 in speed mode between Seraphic and Potential.
Yeah, Seraphic, almost the entire team going for this outer line as opposed to the inner line there at Potential. Interesting, different take here. Right out of the gates on the streets of New York, as Mari is able to work their way into first place. And Seraphic, I gotta give it to him, feels like every single track they are contesting for at least first place.
Yeah, and if you're able to do that again, I mean, there's not as many clear opportunities here on New York Rally, right? Of course, you know, one of the things we could mention is once they go towards that park area. Ooh,
wow.
Bit of a nice block coming out from Summer, just completely congested the entire corner.
Yeah, Summer just body blocked like 2 or 3 players there on Seraphic, and you know, Summer was sitting in 3rd rank when they did it, so for Best and Wave right now, they're able to build a lot of distance as we see here on the minimap. This Potential. Summer goes for more sweeping here against Seraphic. Of course, 1-2 is a win condition in speed mode, so for Scarlet, it's all about just trying to cause some problems, or Summer, excuse me, it's all about trying to cause some problems for Seraphic and just let Best and Wave run away with this thing.
Absolutely. I mean, even just putting pressure against Promise and Scarlet really forces them to not be able to just focus on the attack, but also have to worry about the block here. So Best gets pushed out a bit, try to make way for Summer, but it's going to be Seraphic with nice blocks. Now it's only Promise left, though, so not too much he can do on his own. Scarlet needs to come in, and Taman just completely sweeps him out of the corner.
Yeah, Taman doing a good job right there for Team Potential as they're in control of this race. First lap about to finish up here as it looks like Pio's going to have a high place finish.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Just a complete package. You're almost the 1, 2, 3, 4. In fact, with Taman just trying to inch in towards the end. But I mean, for that track, if we ever had to give clear MVPs per track, it's absolutely Summer. He did so much work towards the middle of that track, just completely blocking out everyone, giving so much weight to the 1st and 2nd place.
Yeah, you could see how much Seraphic's momentum was lost there with Summer sweeping just right out of the gates, colliding with 2 or 3 different players there on Team SRP and taking all the wind out of their sails. That allowed Best and Wave to really break away for a long time, and Seraphic just unable to make up the lost ground as the sweeping from Summer, the speed ace on Team Potential, was just fantastic.
Well, we'll see if that can continue. Of course, it is a 1st to 3 here, 5 total rounds being readied up. Next one, we will be going to the choice of Seraphic. Of course, Seraphic did win the coin toss, so they chose item priority, giving over that speed priority to Potential, but now they're going to have to live back up to that choice if they want to get this to a 2-2 scoreline as we go to the 4th track on WKC Japan Circuit.
Match point now for Team Potential as they only need 1 more track win to secure speed round in team mode, and Summer once again for Potential leading the charge in 1st place.
Yeah, Potential this time with a pretty strong lead, only having to fight against Minzik here towards the front. But as it goes with most WKC tracks, you know, fairly wider, not just, you know, crazy turns coming up throughout the track. So it's much more about really maintaining your build and more than anything, maintaining that boost gauge.
Yeah, Wave taking a page out of Summer's book from the previous track with some nice sweeping against the lagging racers here for Team Seraphic, as it's really, once again, Minshik standing alone on Team SRP, trying to do battle with all of the lead racers for Potential as Wave continues to cause problems for Scarlet, for Mari, for Promise. Now Promise finally able to work their way up into 4th place, but now it's Summer's turn to do some sweeping, trying to push them into that wall, but unable to make the connection.
Yeah, Wave tried to block out Scarlet going into that corner, but Scarlet's going to maintain a good angle, just trying to get back into the main pack of things. Of course, 3 laps, so we still got 1.5 laps left here on WKC Japan Circuit.
Yeah, Taman right now in 1st place here for Potential with a really nice boost gauge, so it'll be hard for Minshik and Promise to unseat Taman from that role. But actually, Taman with that inner line, Scarlet doing a little bit of body blocking right now as Promise with a clean breakaway here leading into the straight is going to have SRP in the high place 1 and 2, finishing up lap number 2. And for Team Potential now, it's really a catch-up game.
Yeah, and Summer with a nice turn on that corner, utilizing that grass just to boost over and try to maintain that speed, but Scarlet quickly regains their defensive position. Now 3, 4, 5 held for Potential. If one of them can just try to break in towards the first 2, cause some chaos, they still have a couple more options to try to take this track.
Yeah, but they have to disrupt that 1-2 right now. Scarlet and Promise holding strong right now is Best, Summer, and Wave doing their best to close the distance, but I think it might be too much.
Yeah, it's looking like it's running away with it. Scarlet and Promise, no one in range to even overtake them near the end, and it will be a 1-2 finish line cross. The track going to Seraphic, and that brings us to our last track of speed mode to see who takes the first set win.
Got a lot of high place finishes so far in the speed mode sets. I think that's the second one that we've had so far in this series, and considering that Potential and Seraphic each only had 2 high place round finishes this entire preseason leading up to this one, goes to show that these teams are really putting all of it on the line right now in their final match. You know, they might be out of postseason contention, but they want to go home happy with the 6th place.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're tied up on the record, right? Regardless of whether you go into the playoff bracket or not, this is, you know, really down to your reputation. How are you going to be remembered when you exit preseason 2, right? Are you going to be a team that ultimately lost and fell down to the bottom 2, or are you going to be the one who, okay, still showed a little bit more of their high ceiling and try to show a bit more, you know, as a nice send-off in your last match?
Both these teams now so close to securing another speed set win as we're getting ready to go to track number 5, which will decide it here in team speed mode between Seraphic and Potential. We will be racing it on WKC Brazil circuit.
And the race is off. Last track for speed mode. See who takes that first set between these two, but as we get prepared for item mode next.
Yeah, and Seraphic once again off to a really good start here, showing their mettle in team speed. You know, something that has eluded them over the course of the entire KDL preseason too, but you know, here in the last couple of matches that they've played against various teams, finally starting to put it together.
Yeah, Wave just having to enter that shortcut a bit earlier, but didn't lose too much speed, so he's actually maintaining his momentum to catch up to the front of the pack. Does have to step out on the grass for just a bit longer, but some nice body blocking on the way keeps Promise at bay.
Yeah, Promise is still getting body blocked out by Wave as Summers is trying to hold on to first place in a 1v2 against Minchik and Mari as Wave once again cutting off Promise at every turn. And coming into lap number 2 here in a moment, it seems like Seraphic is really consolidating the position here in the middle rank. 2, 3, 4, 5 right now. So Best, Taman, and Wave, it's a catch-up game for them to secure some more points in the back ranks behind Summer.
Yeah, and quite frankly, I mean, Taman and Wave, they're a little ways behind as well. And when you consider that you're going to have to step on the grass a little bit to take these shortcuts if you want to keep up overall, not too many chances for them to catch up. Now, if they can get into draft range of Scarlet, which it looks like they're starting to inch forward into position, that may change things as we continue the second lap.
Yeah, but since then, Promise and Mari have been able to fight Summer off. Summer with basically a 1v4 right now, trying to hold on to the leading rank here for Team Potential, but unable to do it as you just see them succumbing to the pressure. Now Minchik even taking 3rd place, and Best with some sweeping, trying to alleviate the pressure, but really they just need to close the distance and try and catch up. I mean, Seraphic is starting to run away with this one.
Yeah, Summer, I mean, everyone on Potential had to enter that shortcut early to try to double down on their decision, but you just lose so much speed if you're not prepared at the right angle there on the grass. And so, alas, it is just going to be Taman now in contention for the top 4, but even that, the first 2 are so far ahead. Summer not even able to find the opening next to his teammate. It's going to be a clean 1-2 finish for Seraphic as they take the speed mode win 3-2.
Yeah, Minchik with some nice sweeping there coming out of the speed ace of Team Seraphic as they have yet another high place here, securing the 3-2 win in Team Speed mode. And I gotta say, they really look revitalized here in Team Speed. It was something that eluded them in terms of not only set wins, but round wins pretty much the entire KDL preseason too. And finally they're putting it together, so that's got to be a really big confidence booster for this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even if you finish the season, right, unable to continue in the brackets, you want to leave knowing that you were on the right track, you know, whether it's as individuals or as a team, knowing that you're working on the right things, that you're addressing the right improvements, because that's how you ensure that you're going to come back even stronger, you know, looking at the first official regular season of the KDL later this year.
Yeah, doubling their round wins in total after this set is played is going to be, you know, a nice boon for them as we have some roster changes now. Mari being swapped out for the item specialist, Snoopy on Team Seraphic. I wouldn't be surprised to see Banana come out for Potential as well as he joins his former finale teammate from KDL Preseason 1 here in item mode. And on Potential, they have been very scary in item mode, but so has Seraphic. This has been one of the stories really throughout all of KDL Preseason 2 is the rookie teams seem to have a better grasp right now on the new meta of item mode than the pro teams even.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what's kept things quite interesting as well. And you got to wonder, maybe it is the meta shift, maybe it just favors a little bit more the style of the rookie teams, or maybe it is also simply that they're more willing to experiment as well, right? They have less to lose in terms of overall reputation. So they've been the ones that have been leading the meta development here in item mode of KDL. Well, let's take a look at the item track list. Of course, Seraphic took item priority off the coin toss, and they will be kicking things off on Desert Sphinx's Riddle.
Yeah, we'll be following that one up with Glacier Polar Halfpipe, Glacier Shark's Wake, Factory Cogwheel Crush, and Desert Pharaoh's Pass. So, a nice little spread. 2 desert maps, 2 glacier maps, 1 factory map. Should be a lot of fun. I expect this one really to go the distance. I don't think we'll see a 3-0 or really a 3-1 even here in item mode, considering both these teams have above 50% win rates in item mode, despite how stacked KDL Preseason 2 has been overall in the standings. Is they have a lot of fight of them, both these teams.
Absolutely. Curious to see. I mean, of course, Seraphic also choosing that item priority. So, I mean, they won the speed mode, so everything going as planned for Seraphic, so to speak, right? You chose item priority, you still won the speed mode. Now you're kind of looking to get that draft that you wanted. 4 tracks of item mode, and we'll see, of course, the first track, that goes exactly as planned because there's nothing stopping you, but afterwards, curious to see if the bans worked out the way they imagined as well.
Yeah, I want to see what the game plan is exactly here for Seraphic, as it feels like the meta, as opposed to KDL Preseason 1, varies a lot track by track here in Preseason 2, as some of them with the high item boxes are able to actually rotate through and set up some insane combos like Thunderbolts. On other tracks, you got to play for that finish line, and we'll see exactly what strategy both these teams come out with here as we go into item mode of their final match of the season, Seraphic and Potential. Let's go to Desert Sphinx's Riddle. Seraphic's map choice, despite winning in speed mode, as you said, choosing item priority, and now in a very comfortable position. I want to see exactly what their game plan is coming in here to Sphinx's Riddle.
Yeah, we'll have to kind of wait to see as we kind of wrap up the first lap. Of course, a lot of lap 1 is tempo, regardless of your end goal, because you're eventually going to have to cycle through a lot of those items anyway. But starting from lap 2, we're starting to see everyone show their hand a bit earlier here in Preseason 2 than we did in Preseason 1.
Yeah, oftentimes even in lap number 1, because of the changes to Angel Shield only blocking 1 attack as opposed to being something that makes you impervious over a duration of time, teams have really started to prioritize items such as Lightning Bolts and Angel Shields. Actually, Seraphic holding on to 2 of those right now. So that can give you an idea after lap 1 and a good portion of lap number 2 exactly what kind of endgame you're playing for in item mode. And as it is for Potential right now, none of those big team play items on the field just yet.
Yeah, and I love that you pointed out the Angel Shields here for Seraphic, because what that means is not only do they have this insurance plan against something crazy like the double lightning bolts or extra attacks, but on top of that, they were not exactly falling that far behind, so they still have other win conditions that they can cycle for amongst their other teammates.
Yeah, one thing that's nice about it too is that it's spread across 2 different players, right? So they're retaining that high, what do you call it, circulation almost of items. You're able to rotate out anything, any kind of attack, any kind of low priority item as they come through the loot boxes. And Summer right now taking a lot of attacks as Seraphic not only having those double Angel Shields, but also really consolidating here in the front ranks. Promise and Scarlet both with Nitrous sitting in the high-ranking positions. Promise right now sitting with a Magnet in position number 7. Would not be surprised if they close the distance here as we start lap number 3.
Yeah, just double Wisp being thrown out for tempo as well. Wave will be able to still keep up in speed, gets away from that first bubble quite quickly. More Wisp coming out, just trying to draw out a lot of these Angelic Shields potentially, but everyone's just saying, no, we got to hold on to these towards the very end.
Yeah, now let's do a quick inventory of the items. We have double Angel Shield on both teams, so a lot of defense abilities ready to go here heading into the finish line, and only 1 Thunderbolt on the field, but that doesn't mean too much considering all the Angel Shields that we've got. So let's see where the combinations come in. Lightning does get dispelled there by the Angel Shield. 300 meters left to go. Snoopy and Taman right now are boosting their hearts. They're actually Banana too on the outside. It's a 1v1 between Promise and Banana as all these racers had Nitrous ready to go there at the finish line. You can see the hype that Seraphic is bringing his Promise by a hair, able to pass Banana on that final straightaway stretch.
Yeah, and when everyone has that boost, it suddenly kind of turns into a mini speed mode, right? And it's much more about that angle you're holding in that last stretch. And it's going to be Seraphic who is able to just maintain that top speed for just a bit longer. Of course, the timing on that will have mattered as well. You know, we saw a lot of magnets that were dispelled, especially on the side of Potential, who was able to keep that one EMP, but that wasn't the main game plan from Seraphic. It's really boosting forward at that last second, crossing the finish line first, and leading item mode 1-0.
And Promise puts 12 points into boost with their build, as opposed to the 10 points for Banana overall, which really proved to be the difference maker there on track number 1, as Seraphic able to go with their game plan, have Promise set up to make that Hail Mary run to the finish line, able to win it. I mean, if they have 10 points or 9 points in boost as opposed to the 12 they've got, maybe it is Potential walking away with the track 1 win.
Absolutely. I mean, that can matter. Your card body build can absolutely matter, you know, especially in item mode when the meta can shift track to track, and if you're focusing on your boost, absolutely you want that the extra stats, right? The extra high-end speed off of the boost and the acceleration off of the boost as well. Let's look at the last finishing moments here. So Promise just angling himself. Actually, Magnets onto Snoopy to make sure it can't be EMP'd. You'll love that small touch. And then we'll just boost forward. I mean, just great heads-up play there from Seraphic.
Yeah, perfect execution, too, on the finish right there for track number 1, as Seraphic absolutely coming to play here in their final match of KDL Preseason 2, winning 3-2 in speed mode, now up 1-0 here in item mode against one of the item specialist teams that we have here in the KDL, as we'll see if they can keep the momentum going. Moving on to track number 2, it is Glacier Polar Halfpipe.
And track number 2 of item mode begins between Seraphic and Potential. Potential trying to make this a bit of a closer affair, trying to tie things up 1-1.
Yeah, and I think they have a good shot of doing it here on Glacier Polar Halfpipe. I often see them picking this map here in item mode, and you can tell that Banana really loves being able to utilize this shortcut right here on lap number 3, as oftentimes it is PO's game plan essentially to try and find some utility in that one and set up for that as part of their big finishing play.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that, you know, lines up for Potential once again, especially on the third lap. Just lots of people getting locked up by the Wisp and Water Bombs overall. Water Bombs, of course, also pretty useful here on this track. We see a lot of success rate with those attacks because once you get into that half pipe, you're kind of limited in how you dodge it.
Yeah, it's similar to some of the mine tracks and how narrow it can feel in specific moments like this one, where Scarlet and Minshake just trying to take the straightaway there, do not want to go all the way up on the side of that half pipe and instead get hit by a water balloon, as PO has been relentless with the attacks here so far on Polar Halfpipe. And now doing a quick check on the item inventories, only 1 Angel Shield in total on the board, with, you know, the track about halfway done now. So not too much you can really plan for on either team. I wouldn't be surprised if Promise started to try and save up something similar to what we saw in the previous track with Nitrous and potentially even a Magnet considering his cart build. But as it goes, no, Seraphic with a Thunderbolt, PO with an Angel Shield, quite even.
I love that Promise. You kind of wanted that double item box there, but slowed down, alas, not able to get both. We do see a couple Lightning Bolts coming online here for Seraphic, though. They've got double lined up.
Yeah, picking up that second Lightning Bolt makes a really big difference, especially since PO has been unable to get all these Angel Shields in the bag, still just sitting on that one with Wave. So this could be a big momentum problem for them. We'll see where Seraphic decides to use it, whether it be at the finish line or here heading into the shortcut.
Yeah, I mean, you got to wonder, because you do have a couple more opportunities to cycle through some more items here, so if you save it for too long, maybe another Angelic Shield comes online for Potential. But Seraphic right now, it looks like they still have a couple other ideas. Of course, they have that boost still ready to go over by Scarlet as well. Yeah,
it seems like Minshake is getting ready to pop that Thunderbolt as the finish line only 500 meters away. Banana, the lead racer right now for Potential with a Nitrous and a Shield.
Banana's still got one more of his own shield as well, so he's not going to be affected, and he will cruise right on across the finish line. And once again, I mean, the double Lightning Bolts, it can be good, but you save it for too long, the right answers come by, and it's going to be Banana who will bring home 1-round victory here. Potential tying things up 1-1.
Yeah, Seraphic just not having any more aggressive items ready heading into that finish line. So, you know, 1 shield plus an Angel Shield enough to mitigate those 2 Lightning Bolts, and Banana with a Nitrous, just a clean shot into that finish line. Wasn't even close, almost a 3-second, more than a 3-second difference between Banana, the lead racer for Potential, and Minchik on Seraphic, as that was a clean win on their map choice.
Yeah, the game plan was there. They were quite well aware of when the lightning bolts would come as well. I think just good reads from Potential and understanding that Seraphic is going to be banking on that as an insurance plan. So a good answer back. And as you predicted, State currently tied 1-1. It's not going to be a clean sweep for either.
No, these teams so close in skill, not only in speed mode, but also here in item mode. Is expect to see them continue to trade blows here as the series continues on.
Of course, the next track, it is going to be going back over to Seraphic's track choice. We will continue on the Glacier theme as we go to Glacier Shark's Wake.
All tied up 1-1 here on track number 3, Shark's Wake. We'll see what plans these gamers come up with to try and get that win. PO fighting back on the previous Glacier track, looking to double up and lead 2-1.
Yeah, curious to see what the ideas are here. Now, of course, there's a couple of areas where, again, the barricades and the water bombs can do some good work, such as here when we enter this Glacier Cave, and of course, as you exit towards the end as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And as of yet, just one Angel Shield in total on the board. That is on Wave's cart, so wouldn't be surprised if he actually... Ooh, Banana gets another one, too. So PO, they're going to be holding on to both of those, and now that gives them a little bit of room to start to think about what their plan is going to be heading into the finish line, because now you can identify, you know, which carts are going to be playing just to combo Nitrous and Magnets and be positioned to actually cross that finish line first, or should they get some Thunderbolts, they might be able to start saving up for that and just go for some really big team play.
Yeah, absolutely. We're continuing on lap 2 out of 3. Now, some are with double boost, so does Taemin, but surely you start to cycle through those as we see right now, just to gain a bit more of a tempo advantage as we look to the second half of lap 2.
Yeah, in terms of tempo, both teams very even. Potential with a little bit of a stronger midfield, but Seraphic with Minchik and Snoopy both very close to the front, and Promise joining them now as well here on lap number 2. You know, no one really having too much of a chance to break away except for Taemin.
Yeah, he's starting to run a bit forward. Now, he does have that boost as well. Of course, things slowing down just a bit on both sides. The UFOs start flying out as well, just trying to keep people at bay. Snoopy doubling up on the items, just 2 aggressive items, Water Bomb and Rocket coming out.
Yeah, still no Thunderbolts on the field, so Potential won't be able to utilize those Angel Shields too much, and it is a little scary here for Seraphic, though. I wouldn't be surprised if some of their lead racers actually call it on something such as, you know, a Magnet in a shield or a Nitrous in a shield heading into lap number 3. Should they not get any more Angels? I mean, Pio's got 2 of them right now. Okay, Snoopy finally does get one.
Yeah, but right now it's more about just positioning yourself for the boost, it looks like, right? Not too many attacks on the board. 1 Water Bomb, finally it's going to land. It doesn't look like it hit anybody on the field. Banana just using a shield, and then an Angelic Shield as well, dodging everything. Summer will be boosting forward meanwhile, and he doesn't get hit in time. He crosses the finish line first, and that's going to be Potential in the lead now, 2-1.
And for teams that average a lot of attacks per minute coming into this one, really not able to make anything happen in the previous 2 tracks. They've both been pretty clean heading in, despite even the lightning bolts on track number 2. The finishes have really just kind of come down to the boosts at the finishes. No team's really been able to get the setup in terms of composition of where their racers are heading into the finish line, or even items. You know, we didn't have rockets or water wisps or thunderbolts or any other attacks really coming through on either side. So may the best and fastest cart win in that case. And now PO fighting back after losing track number 1 to lead the series 2-1.
Yeah, and of course, next one is going to be their pick once again. They wanted to bring us to Factory Cogwheel Crush. So if they can clean things up 3-1, we will be indeed going to an ace match between these 2 teams on their final match here of Preseason 2.
That'd be a lot of fun to watch, an ace match between these 2 teams to decide who's going to walk away in rank 7, who's going to fall down, or rank 6, and who's going to fall down into rank 7 and 8, as they are battling for glory here in their final match of the season.
Of course, all the players kind of feeling that pressure, right? Just trying to loosen each other up, keep each other warmed up, ready to go. Well, we are going to track number 4. Can Potential close things out, or will Seraphic tie us up once again 2-2 as we go into Factory Cogwheel Crush? And we are off in round 4, Seraphic versus Potential in item mode.
Yeah, Potential on match point right now, only one track win away from forcing that ace match, which Seraphic would absolutely love to avoid. And, you know, Cogwheel Crush, similar to the last 2 tracks that we've had, a lot of opportunities to make messy plays happen with barricades and such like that, with how many different obstacles there are on this course.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you already have so much to kind of think about on the map itself, and then you got attacks flying in. You're going to have to be much more aware of your positioning and always kind of have a backup plan of how to recover.
Absolutely, as we see Snoopy get bullied a little bit there by all those rockets. And now Seraphic kind of maintaining this position with Promise and Scarlet fighting off Taman here in position 1, as Taman hit by a rocket will get slowed down, and Minshik also joining the charge. So here on lap number 1, at least partway through it, Seraphic in a really comfortable spot, even going to get some racers here into the speed boost. They got 3 of them taking the shortcut.
Yeah, that's just going to boost you forward, and a nicely timed water bomb catches all 3. So they pay the price of trying to take a shortcut here on this track. They'll have to slow things down once again due to another water bomb coming out precisely on that exit.
That water bomb is sick out of the speed boost. Just really, really evening things up, because otherwise Seraphic, you have 3 racers. It's a big tempo advantage. All taking that shortcut is now their lead a little bit more manageable here for Potential, as Promise gets hit by not only a water balloon, but some other attacks as well. That lead getting slowed down even more. Luckily for him, wasn't taking too tight an angle, so the follow-up rocket did not actually push him off the ledge, instead just into the wall, not losing too much ground.
Yeah, Banana just holding on to a water bomb. See if we can see another sick timing here towards the later half. It looks like it was just used. Not going to find any targets, and Scarlet will recover as we enter the latter part of this 2-lap track here on Cogwheel Crush.
Yeah, now looking at the item inventories, we have a lot of magnets on the field right now, Will. I mean, so many magnets. I think 4 or 5 different racers right now holding on magnets. 3 of those, in fact, also have nitrous. So we're in store for a stellar finish here. A lot of speed in the cars, not a lot of attack, just 1 water wisp. Both by Seraphic, and Seraphic with so much momentum. We'll see if Wave and Summer can overcome it. As actually Summer with a shield gets popped, but Snoopy, the Angel Shield blocks the barricade. He's able to make it happen there on the outside. So Seraphic still avoiding that ace match, bringing it to a 2-2 score here in item mode. Kind of a crazy finish with so many racers having all of these items in their bag that can just push them across that finish line, whether it be magnets, whether it be nitrous, but Snoopy just barely able to get that edge.
Yeah, I mean, Snoopy with just a really good heads-up play. His teammates kind of magneted their opponents off of that top shortcut. Snoopy's able to take it looks like. And then, of course, you have the Angelic Shield for any last-minute attacks. In fact, helps block out a barricade. He is no longer stopped as he crosses the finish line. And as you mentioned, State tied 2-2. Seraphic looking to close things out without going to the ace match.
Yeah, what a close series this has been. I mean, both speed mode and item mode going all the way to track number 5. As you can see, these teams really want to walk away with a win. They might be out of postseason contention, but they are laying it all on the line here, fighting for glory, fighting for, you know, some happiness, a treat for their fans as they end this season. And looks like our players are getting ready to go into track number 5. A quick discussion, perhaps with a coach or an admin.
Yeah, I think something just wants to be double-checked here on Snoopy's PC. Looks like he discovered something he wants to double-check on in the last second, so we'll just hold tight. Looks like we might have a couple replays ready to go. Yeah, would love to see. Oh, this is the first section where the water bomb comes in. Just perfectly placed.
That was a sick water balloon. I actually have never seen that connection happen on this track. No matter how many times we've had it, that's the first time you've seen, you know, all these racers come through from that speed boost and then all get hit. As Snoopy on that outer line with that Angel Shield, able to just bash his way through that barricade, make it into that finish line, secure the win there for Team Seraphic.
Yeah, I mean, the only one who was able to kind of land that jump onto the top shortcut, it absolutely paid off. Even that last barricade, and you know, honestly, the last second barricade, not too common, so it was a good try to save up for Potential, but simply, I mean, it's a hard counter if someone has a shield or an Angelic Shield, of course. You just drive right through it, and the timing absolutely impeccable. Not much else room for it to be used on the side of Seraphic, so they tie things up 2-2. It does look like all of our racers are back in the lobby, so that means we are ready to go into round 5. Will Seraphic win the entire match 2-0, or will Potential take us to an ace match as we go into Desert Pharaoh's Pass?
And off we go on Pharaoh's Pass, tied 2-2 here in item mode. A win for Seraphic would secure them 6th place in the team rankings, and a win here against Potential. Should Potential come through with a victory, though, we will be heading to that ace match.
Yeah, curious to see having an ace match to send things off here in Preseason 2 would mean a lot for both teams, quite frankly, especially the ace racers who come out. However, for Seraphic, I mean, you were the one who won the speed mode. You don't want to let that slip all the way to the end.
Yeah, it would be funny if, Seraphic getting the item mode priority and then winning in speed and Potential with the speed mode priority winning an item could happen here. Might have a bit of a reversal in terms of the way the draft went, as Potential's been putting up a really good fight so far. As wow, these chained water balloons actually connecting.
Yeah, just absolute great positioning of it as well, right? Right at the end where there's literally no way to dodge. You do have to move forward to drop back on towards the finish line. We have entered lap 2 out of 3 as we continue to see everyone really aggressively cycling through their items. Not really finding anything they want to keep long-term except for perhaps that lightning bolt that just came online for Tainted.
Yeah, team with that lightning bolt very happy as of yet. No angel shields for either team, so lightning bolt does have the potential to really change the dynamic of this race. Should Seraphic be able to find an angel shield, they will be able to mitigate that though here as we have a lot more attacks coming in. I mean, these two teams heading into this match were two of the teams that had the highest rate of item attacks in item mode. And you can really see that here in the midfield. I mean, lap number 1, lap number 2, so many water balloons coming out, rockets and water wisps.
Yeah, and still no angelic shield being prepared here on the side of Seraphic. So the lightning bolt will find some value. However, individual shields online for Scarlet and Promise. Promise is going to cycle through his. However, Scarlet, he does get another one immediately, and he should be able to keep that for a decent amount since he has that boost.
Yeah, now holding onto a boost and a shield for Scarlet right now in first place as they do avoid the barricades heading up into the upper portion here on Pharaoh's Pass. And now looking at the item inventories, still no angel shields as Scarlet might be able to run away with this one, but the Thunderbolt comes in, doesn't get chained, and that's going to be us heading to an ace match, I think, Will.
Yeah, Summer crosses that finish line, and only that one singular individual shield on the side of Scarlet, not able to block out all the attacks flying in. He had to use it earlier for that potential water bomb and the barricade, and the lightning will lock him up. So, ladies and gentlemen, it does look like an ace match is what the doctor ordered here for the very last team match of Seraphic versus Potential.
Yeah, now what a fitting way to end the season for both of these teams as well as, both team speed and team item absolutely went the distance. Very close race from start to finish, track 1 to track 5, and we're going to settle it here in an ace match. PO fighting back in item mode despite not having item mode priority.
Yeah, I mean, this does tell me, though, right, that Seraphic perhaps was a bit more worried about the item mode going up against Potential, so he wanted that kind of map draft priority. And they got it, however, not enough to edge them forward. Now, if anything, if there's any silver lining here, it does mean that Seraphic, they had a better showing in that team speed mode, so maybe feeling a bit more confident going to the ace match. Does look like we have a bit of a tech pause, so wait for that to be resolved here. And of course, we'll have to wait to see what ensues here for the ace match as well.
Yeah, and you got to think that it's going to be Potential Summer coming out for yet another ace match here.
Yeah, you got to imagine.
They've been having such a good performance over the course of this entire season. Coming into today, ranked 5th overall in average rankings in team speed mode, and despite their struggles early on in ace matches, they were able to finally get that win on the board, which is a huge victory for a rookie to come in and finally get that off their chest and know that, okay, I can perform in a 1v1 here against veterans on this stage with a live audience, with thousands of fans watching online. And so for Summer, I think that you just go back to your ace here as Team Potential, whereas Seraphic, it's a little bit more difficult because, yes, Minshik is their speed ace, but as of yet, not really having the best season so far. Promise, their sweeper, in fact, actually leading the team overall in ranking. So the question for Seraphic is, what exactly are you going to bring to the table if you're going up against Summer, right? Because Summer does seem like one of these kids that we're going to be talking about in future KDLs as one of the best speed racers overall.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people still really praising him for the potential that he continues to show. And like you said, while he had a rough start, he did get that one win against Ghost. And I will say, in a matchup like this, if you're coming out for the ace match again, we're presuming that Summer will be that member here for Potential. The fact that even though you lost, you had the experience to go up against some of the best, right? I mean, he goes up against World, Neil, Ding. I mean, these 3 races on 3 top pro teams, and then even Knock from Sensation as well. I mean, this is a situation or from R, excuse me, this is a situation where he's gained so much experience in how to handle the pressure, right, and how to be able to really play his own game in a 1v1, how to really handle that mental burden of the 1v1 game. So curious to see if he'll capitalize on that. Meanwhile, yeah, the curiosity now on the side of Seraphic, who will be the one to come in for the ace match, and also probably track dependent as well.
Yeah, probably track dependent, and I would imagine also the conversation for Seraphic comes down to really who's feeling the best today, right?
Yeah.
No one really on this team has had any breakaway performance over the course of KDL Preseason 2, at least in speed. So the question is going to be more about, you know, who is really going to be ready to take on potentially Summer as, you know,
gives a little wave over to the camera. Summer just feeling, he looks like mostly confident that he might be moving forward, but we'll have to wait and see. It does look like some extra things need to be worked out here.
Yeah, tech pause continuing here in audio.
Yeah, we'll just wait that out. I mean, we've been able to resolve things fairly quickly here, so we'll just await an update. Thank you for being patient. Of course, we're in the middle of the team match between Potential and Seraphic. Today is the last day of team matches. After this, we have 2 more. Now, the later 2 have some big implications for the playoffs, right? Now, it's the top 4 are decided, but the standings are not fixed in stone. So the top 2 could change going into the bye for the upper bracket finals, and of course, 3 and 4 as well.
Yeah, there is a lot on the line in the following matches today, as we are hearing from our producer that there also was an issue during that last track, so there is the chance that we might have a rematch here. It is as of yet not confirmed. They're still discussing with the admin team, so we're awaiting the decision to see whether track number 5 will be replayed, as that's one of the reasons why this tech pause is taking a little bit longer than usual. Is, you know, if this affected the communications of the players in the previous track, then of course that does have implications on whether or not they were able to play to their best ability. So we'll wait and see what the eventual decision is going to be, but you know, as you said, the matches coming up here today, even after this one right now between Seraphic and Potential, have so much potential implication on where the standings are going to be heading into the postseason, you know, with deciding who's going to head into the upper bracket finals, who's going to head to the lower bracket finals in the team matches. And with so much on the line, really, it's going to be a big day here at the KDL to finally wrap it up. And it is exciting to have so much levied in the final day of the regular season, right? You know, sometimes with a lot of leagues, even across not just Kartrider but other games, you'll head into the final days like, okay, well, we know who's going to the playoffs. We know what the standings are going to be.
Sure.
They're solidified, but here we really do have a chance of a shakeup.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, not a single one of those top 4 placements fixed in stone. Now, the total 4 teams, yes, we do know which 4 teams it will be, but outside of that, of course, the placements themselves, whether, who's in first and second. Now, really, it's the battle between the first 2 and then third and fourth, right? Because that makes a difference between getting that bye into the upper bracket finals. But otherwise, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, that is upcoming. Right now, we're looking at Seraphic versus Potential, and we do have confirmation that we will have to have a rematch in that last game. So I believe that should just be the last track of the item mode. Looks like we'll have to go through that one again, and so that means the pressure's back on, right? Potential, can you wrap things up and try to bring us to that ace match? Or will Seraphic say, you know what, now that our comms are going, can we secure that win?
Yeah, confirmation from the producer is that Snoopy's audio was disconnected during the previous track, so was not able to make the play calls that the team needed, and the decision is that we will be heading into a rematch on Pharaoh's Pass. So, as of yet, not sure whether we will be going into that ace match. Potential still has to come back and win again.
Yeah, we'll see. It does look like we're just taking this opportunity to make sure everything else is working as well. A couple other players checking their audio. And we'll just have to wait and see. Now, again, neither of these teams are in contention for playoffs. That's already all fixed and said and done. But for these 2 teams, it is much more, again, about what's that last image you leave for the fans and potential future rosters, teammates, and pro teams in how you performed both as a group and as individuals.
And also just kind of see how much you have grown over the course of this KDL. And for Seraphic, if they continue to perform up to this level that they have in their last couple of matches, maybe that changes the way you look at this team heading into the next season. Maybe you don't really want to start from the ground up and absolutely break away. Maybe you want to keep the band together, so to speak, for the next seasons, because you got the ball rolling in those final matches. You really started to unlock your potential, and it seems like finally Our players are ready. Audio issue is resolved, so we're going to be going into that rematch now on Desert Pharaohs patch between Seraphic and Team Potential.
And we're off, tied 2-2 in item mode. Of course, Seraphic took the speed mode win. Should they win this track, they will secure the match 2-0.
Yeah, Summer's slowing down a little bit, and actually Seraphic picking up a very early Lightning Bolt. One of the first items on the board in total is Snoopy, the item specialist here on this team, is going to be very happy with that pickup.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, if you have that early, you mentioned in the previous track state, but now that opens up who's going to take what role going into lap 2 and 3, right? You can say,
right.
Okay, well, I'm holding onto the Lightning Bolt. Someone else should really cycle aggressively for those nitros, you know, the boost, for those magnets, things like that.
Yeah, Snoopy's going to have to basically play that support role over the course of this game because they have that Lightning Bolt in the bag. So excited to see exactly how Seraphic decides to play the rest of this. Still no Angel Shields on the board just yet as we have a Magnet getting popped here by Taman. Just closing the distance a little bit here in the upper ranks. And as it is so far, no one really breaking away. Summer the lead racer right now. Potential does have a lot of racers actually, leading the pack, but not by much.
Yeah, and it's not going to mean too much unless you can really hold on to that going into the end of lap 2, beginning of lap 3. A couple missiles on the board here, especially for Seraphic. Here's to see if they'll just cycle through those right after the item boxes to make sure you negate any new pickups on the side of your opponents.
A lot of attacks now coming in on Scarlet as they get slowed down quite a bit here in lap number 2. Still only the one Lightning Bolt on the board. No Angel Shields even to be found on either team. As that one, we've seen it before. It can just end. It can tell the tale, really. Yeah. Heading into lap number 3, if there is no significant defense set up for Potential or counterplay. And looking at the inventories right now here as lap number 3 does get started, a little bit concerned for Team Potential. No shields, no Angel Shields.
Yeah, not much to work with here. Tons of magnets being prepared, especially for Wave. He's got double magnets, but he is going to have to cycle through to try to pick up some new items. Now Boost coming online as well, but still no shields to block out that potential Lightning Bolt. It's looking scarier. Now Taman does have one in response.
Yeah, Taman has one as well, and Seraphic's in the same boat where they do not have an Angel Shield set up, so these Lightning Bolts can be absolutely huge. One of them gets popped right now, and actually Seraphic able to make through across the jump. They decided to pop it early, and that took so much of the momentum away from Potential.
Oh, Promise will still be able to escape just in time alongside Minsik. And you love to see it. I mean, using their own Lightning Bolt right before the jump to deny, the Potential to really keep up. It actually, I believe, drops down one of the members of Potential. Maybe it was Wade, maybe it was Summer, all the way dropped off on the jump. The rest still able to make the jump, but by then, the rest of Seraphic had already gathered forward. The water bomb does not hit all 4 members, and the body bombing comes in as well. Minsik crosses the finish line to bring Seraphic home the victory in this match.
Yeah, that was the perfectly timed Thunderbolt, too. You could see that Potential, they decided they wanted to wait a little bit longer on that Thunderbolt, closer to the finish line, potentially trying to maybe set up with a water bolt or water balloon combo, but Seraphic just pulled the trigger first, and it was the right move as they're going to walk away with a victory, not only in speed, but in item mode.
Yeah, unfortunate for Potential. It was a close one either way, right? Both speed and item mode going 3-2. And if this was in the middle of the season, we would say something like, you can't really fault yourselves for this one. It's a close one. You got to look forward to the next one. However, it hurts a bit more for Potential because this is the last time that both of these teams will be standing on the stage here for KDL Preseason 2.
Yeah, that's going to be the victory here going to Seraphic as they secure the 6th ranking spot overall here in the standings. Is some nice victories for them in the last couple of weeks here at KDL Preseason 2 means that they'll be ending the season quite happy despite how it started. As for Potential, they had some roster shuffles. Team Finale had 2 members come join this team as they try to make their breakaway here in KDL Preseason 2. Maybe we'll see this band stick together. Maybe they will try to, join some other rosters and find something that has, chemistry meshing a little bit better, where players can complement each other's skills a little bit more as, I do feel like with the roster that Potential has, individually at least, I think they can go better than 7th place overall in the team standings.
Sure. I mean, especially curious to see what the future holds for Summer, right? I think he's proven himself as a valuable racer for any team. Now, of course, that goes both ways. Some teams, you'll need to wait for there to be an opening, so we'll have to wait and see. But alas, for Preseason 2 of KDL, this is the last time we'll be seeing the 10 of these racers, including their item aces, of course, that get swapped in. And we'll just have to wait and see what the future holds for all members. Today, it will be Seraphic leaving the stadium with smiles on their faces after a 2-0 victory, including both speed and item mode.
Yeah, it was a very fun match. I mean, both tracks went the distance. I mean, both sets, excuse me, all the way 3-2 in speed and item mode. Seraphic doubling their speed round wins overall this preseason. Going to be really happy with this victory.
Yeah, I think, like you mentioned, they were able to prove that that improvement was there for them, that they were on the right track of progress. Meanwhile, for Pretension, it kind of leaves that bitter taste because in some ways, because it was so close, you're like, well, does that really count for much? We still didn't get the win or something like that. But I think at that point for Potential, you really have to go back and look at, again, your individual performances and just say, okay, we still did what we could throughout. I mean, 3-2, that just means one of those tracks goes the other way. You secure your own victory.
Yeah, either in speed mode or item mode, they pick up one more track, and at least they're going to an ace match, right? As opposed to getting 2-0'd here. But that is the way it goes sometimes. I'm excited for the upcoming matches we're going to have too.
Of course, we have 2 more team matches coming up. Now, those do have, again, playoff placement indications, or implications, rather. So the very next one is going to be KWANGDONGFREECS versus Seongnam Rocks. This alone could determine a lot of those placements. In fact, if Rocks is able to beat the KWANGDONGFREECS. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, it's the KDF versus ROX.
Stopping me. Nobody stopping me. Nobody stopping me. Nobody stopping me. Nobody stopping me.